Hello, and welcome to another episode of Chapter 9. I'm Christina Galvin, joined by the lovely, ever so lovely Rachel Polanski. And yes, we have Kate back. Woohoo!
Yay!
And she wanted to join us for this book because it's going to be a good one. Mm-hmm. We have picked With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. Actually, kind of cool story how Rachel has gotten it. Ever since we started this book club, it's kind of been like people offering books, right?
Yeah.
Didn't this come to you in an interesting way?
Yeah. So I reached out to some different like publishing houses and said that we were launching the book club, and you know if they had anything to send our way. And this was one of our first book mails that we got. Riley Sager with a Vengeance. So he's a pretty popular author of The Only One Left and a few other like paranormal, right?
Yeah, he's got some.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
Which this whole book I was expecting it, and then it never came.
No.
But we'll get back to that in a moment. What did you guys think off the top? I know we're not.
I just had an appreciation for like the historical ties in. I thought that was really cool how they had that in there. I also think that on the downfall, there were just a little bit too many characters to keep up with, especially the way I listened to it with the audiobook. I think I would have been able to follow a little bit better if I had the physical book in front of me. I don't know about you guys, but I tend to, get character development a little bit more when it's not like different point of views all the time,
Same. I feel the same way. I remember when they were like talking about, I was like, okay, oh, there's that person. And then there's that person. I was like, oh, geez, this is going to be hard.
At least the first quarter was just you had to kind of get into the groove, and then the second half.
Once they were developing the background and how everyone's interconnected, and then I was able to kind of piece together everything, and I was like, okay, then it got easier, but I was intimidated at first. I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, agreed.
I was like, this is like Clue, like
that I said that too. I got so much Clue vibes off the top. It definitely picked up the second half. I was not a fan the first half.
Agreed.
I would say.
Yeah, the first few chapters, I was like, oh man, I'm really struggling to pay attention here.
But it did give off those vibes, like it was going to be like, and it was the Colonel and the candles with a candlestick and the lavatory.
And the dining card.
A lot of backstories. I somewhat understand why they did it, but it wasn't a need to, in my opinion. I don't know if I'm a cut to the chase type of gal when I read, but okay. And in addition to that, you've been a lot of outreach of just the amazing, library opportunities, Rachel.
Yeah.
So tell us how you even got involved with the Friends of the Central Library author series.
So I actually saw it on Instagram. I think I saw last year or the year before that Mitch Albom came to town, and I was like, that's so cool. How did Syracuse get Mitch Albom? And I started looking into
Ellen
it.
Hillebrand was part of that too.
Oh, was she part of that?
Yeah, like a couple years ago.
So very cool. So so Friends of the Central Library, they host this author series, and they bring some top-notch authors to Syracuse each year, and a lot of the money they raise too also goes to help our public library. So a really good cause there. So I reached out to the executive director, Sarah Tucker, and she sat down with Chrissy and I to kind of talk about the series as they kick off in October. Well, I'm so excited. We're joined by Sarah Tucker. You are the executive director of the Friends of the Central Library. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, Sarah, thank you so much for being here. Well, you gave us this cheat sheet of all these amazing authors. Just tell us about, the series itself.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're really excited. It's our 31st season. We've been around for a while, raising money for the libraries. We start off the season with Robert Dugoni. He's a wonderful kind of crime thriller writer, does spy novels, does legal thrillers, and works with Tracy Crosswhite, who's a police detective. It's fantastic. Then in October, we're really excited. We have Percival Everett. He just won the Pulitzer Prize for his book James, which is a retelling of Huckleberry Finn.
This is on my to-be-read list. I'm very excited for this.
Everyone I've talked to it's on mine. I'm almost there. It's fantastic. Really excited. Next, we're really excited. We have Liz Moore with her book Out in the Woods. And everyone I've heard is just really, really excited for her to come. She's the one author, I think, beyond Percival Everett, everyone's going, she's the one I'm excited to see.
Yeah. Let's stop there for first, because those are really the first three of this this half of the year. This is September, October, and November. Then you guys take a little bit of break, and then the next three come March, April, and May. So tell us too, we were talking about this before we started, like how it works. Like how do you come up with these authors? You get just such a diverse range here, which is just really cool to see.
Yeah, we're really excited. It's kind of a community event, I want to call it. We have what we call our author selection committee, which is previous board members, people involved stay, and they're all pretty huge readers. So they come together, and at the beginning of September, everyone comes in with their top 6 favorite authors they read throughout the year, and pitches them to the bigger group. And we all start looking into them, researching them. And then over the next kind of couple of meetings, we come up with that kind of our top 10, 15 list, where then we work with a wonderful agent who then reaches out to their agents. We start getting the cost and if they're even touring or willing to come and do something like this. And that's how we start working on our season.
What, if somebody's interested in going, what are some things that they should know? The where and how much and what they'll expect when they get there?
Of course. So you can get all your tickets by calling the Solvay Bank box office. Their number is 315-435-2121. And they're open Monday through Friday, 10 to 3. Yeah. But calling them is the easiest. If you go in person, you avoid all those fees, which is nice, or you can order them online through Ticketmaster. If you call the box office, it tends to be about an average of $35 a ticket to go. Oh. And it's a fantastic night. You get to go, starts at 7:30. The author spends about an hour talking about whatever they want to talk about. It's not your typical, let me just talk about this book, let me just read for this book. They talk about their life, what it was like, writing, whatever they kind of decide. And then there's a 30-minute Q&A, which is during the event or before the event on our Facebook or Instagram. You can write in your question and I will personally look through them and pick out a couple key questions from the audience to then ask the author.
That's so cool. And they're all at the On Center. I love that you mentioned too that people, if they don't buy tickets in advance, they can get them up at the door.
Oh yeah, right up until I think like 7:30 you can buy your tickets and go if you happen to have a free Tuesday night and you're just looking for something to do.
Yeah. And Sarah, you fairly entered this role, a couple months ago. What has been the experience like being able to do something like this? Because I know Rachel and I, this would be such a cool job to have.
My gosh,
if we weren't doing something we really enjoyed already.
Right, sure.
When I get to see all the artists that you get to interact with, or at least, learn more about through this process, what has it been like the last couple months for you?
It's been a whirlwind, and I have to say I'm really excited because tomorrow is Robert Dugoni. Yeah. And it's going to be my first time getting to meet these authors. Yeah. And I'm a pretty big reader, so this idea of getting to meet some of these amazing heroes and just writers, I told myself I have to really work on not becoming the fangirl. Yeah, I was like, I have to be professional.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
So it's really exciting.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, so we touched on September, October, and November. Then you take a bit of a break. And then in the second half of the year, I'm also excited. You have journalists, which, near and dear to our heart. Let's touch on these three that we have in March, April, and May.
Yeah, so in March, we start off with Natasha Alford. We were really excited because she's actually a community member. Natasha graduated from Nottingham High School. So we're really excited to bring her in, and her novel is a memoir to her life and what she experienced as a journalist and growing up in Syracuse. Yeah. So we're really excited to bring her in and hopefully, show people, look at what Syracuse can do.
Yeah, totally.
That's amazing.
Then we have Jodi Cantor in April, and she's fantastic. She helped break the Harvey Weinstein story and start that Me Too movement. So I think it's going to be really powerful. As women, I think just to get to see her and really see what that experience was like. And then finally, we have TJ Klune, and he's another one people are just really excited about. He writes, he's our one fantasy author this year, and he writes stories with LGBTQ plus storylines in the fantasy realm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, what is something you'd want people to know? Like, I know you guys are on Instagram and and Facebook. Just kind of, what would you want people to know that aren't as familiar with the organization?
Yeah, so we work every year to bring authors in that are nationally known. We are not there's nothing else kind of around here that does this. I think the closest place you could do something like this is maybe Chicago, or you're looking at the big cities. So the fact that Syracuse can bring something like this is fantastic. And what we do is we actually do this to raise money for the libraries, which is, I think, fantastic. Mm-hmm. So that's a community gem of a community event to go to, but then you're also supporting such a vital community thing, which is a library.
Yeah, it's very cool that people can connect, on a personal level with their favorite authors, just being in the same room as them. It's almost the same as attending a concert where you get to hear everything unfold with somebody that you really loved. I don't know. I'd see Frida. Just saying.
I know. Yeah, she's a big Frida fan. Me, not so much. But
she got on the list. I think she's not touring or something. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Well, I think she's got a full-time job. I think she's like a doctor.
Oh, that is exactly what it is. She's very.
Yeah.
I think she's like a full-on Yeah, she's a full-on neuroscientist or something, so it's insane.
But it's just so cool to think about, I'm sure some readers have been following these authors for how long,
totally.
and having the opportunity to just have them in Syracuse is such a cool opportunity.
Yeah.
If anybody has any ideas or what they want, feel free to email me. I'm always looking for new authors.
That's great to know too, that if you have the option to be able to recommend, say, what I would love to have, so-and-so to come here. That'd be really cool, and it's awesome that you welcome that.
Yeah.
I do. I get caught up in what I want to read. I think we all do, so it's always great to hear other perspectives.
And one thing that Sarah told us before the interview is that you make a conscious effort to read the books by these authors. I think that's so great because, not everybody takes their job to that level, and being able to connect with them when they come and, you meet them for the first time.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool. Wouldn't you love being able to tell your author, I love the part where you wrote.
We even, we even read a memoir earlier, and we interviewed Tiffany Jenkins, who did High Achiever. And it was great to actually ask her questions that I had as we read through it. So really cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Sarah Tucker with the Friends of the Central Library, to talk all about the author series.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, such a cool opportunity there. The cool thing is that it's going on. There's 3 happening this year, and then just like what Sarah said, 3 happening next year. So if you are interested in going, there's plenty of dates for you to go. I know, Rachel, you said that you were excited about, was it Jodi Kantor that you were excited about?
Yeah, she helped break the Harvey Weinstein scandal.
Yeah, so
New
a
York
lot
Times
of really
investigator.
interesting backgrounds, and from kind of what we've seen, these authors are just as excited as their audience to be able to come and talk about what they do and what they have coming up. I would be a terrible author for more ways than one, but just I can't keep a secret when I'm excited about my own personal ambitions. So I'd be like, do you want to hear about what I'm writing next? You don't even have to read it because I'll just describe the whole thing to you.
Yeah, so true.
I'd be so excited.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to keep it in.
Yeah, like when someone, as asked, like, what do you have coming up next? I'm like, oh, I'll just give the whole thing away.
Yeah.
But obviously we are covering a book that's from an author that has covered many types of books. And, we felt that this is a little bit different than his other, stories that he's written before. And, when we come back, we will just kind of talk about our thoughts and what we liked and didn't like and every character that comes into it, because there are a lot of them. So stick with us. Back, you have Christina, Rachel, and Kate with you, and we are talking about With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. Kind of what we talked about in the first half is that we really thought the second half of the book really is where it picked up steam. Did you like my pun there?
Yeah.
Steam ahead. So why don't we kind of talk about what they considered to be the protagonist, Anna? What you guys kind of thought. Good question I actually saw online, which I kind of like, is that Anna kind of seems like she almost has like a vigilante type personality where she feels like it's necessary for her to waste, you see my opinion, she spends rather so much time of her life, trying to get vengeance for her family that, she suffered a really tough life because of the doings of other people. What did you guys kind of think of her character as the book progressed?
So I liked her character. But I thought it was really unrealistic, especially like as the book went on. Like she was so James Bond-esque with like, I get she had some training and, Aunt Retta taught her, not to flinch and all of that. But like the part where she's like climbing out of the train in the snowstorm and now she's going to be an FBI agent. I don't know. It was a little too much for me with all of that.
Also, anybody that knows the process of the FBI, you have to have a squeaky clean record. Wanting to plot someone's murder, I don't think would fly.
Yeah. It just seemed very not thought out.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah, I guess
Little
like you
outrageous.
said, like James Bond-esque, but like who in their right mind actually really does that? Like I get
Yeah.
you're creating a fictional story and like whatever, but it's also like okay, and then I feel like she didn't really have a plan when she got everyone on the
No,
train. Like, what was she
yeah.
supposed to do? Like, obviously she didn't. She said she didn't want to kill them.
Yeah.
So I was like, what were you gonna do? Just like
You stay
hope
here.
that they admit,
Yeah.
and then what? Like, you know,
Yeah.
hope they get arrested. But like, this is what the early 1900s. Like, I feel like that
Yeah.
doesn't really happen. So, I don't know. I was like, okay, this is kind of
Yep.
weird, but all right.
Yeah, once you like buy into it, once I bought into it, I enjoyed it. But yeah, like there was a lot of things that I was just like, why?
Yeah. You just have to kind of just have an open mind, just
Yeah.
accept this is happening and not
And go with it.
just go
Yeah.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the one thing that we all look for are plot holes, and there were a few.
There were a few. Yeah, for sure.
A
For
few
sure.
of like that would never happen. And if you are trying to make a historical fiction, this would not be something that would actually happen.
Yeah, especially when we're all like big fans of Kristen Hanna, who I feel like
Yeah.
does historical
She's
fiction
the
so
queen
well.
of
Yeah.
historical fiction.
So after you read a book like that and then to read a book like this, it's kind of
Yeah.
like, it sort of
well,
misses.
especially I feel like
misses
his
the mark.
other. But I've read a handful of his stories, and I feel like none of them are really historical. They're all somewhat modern day or
Yeah.
not from
Yeah.
that long ago.
So maybe he was giving it a try.
Maybe. Oh.
I don't know. I can barely stand upright when there's snow on the ground and calm temperatures. I couldn't imagine
Yeah.
standing
Right,
on
and
a
then
train.
have a moving train at what, like 60 miles an hour, and not like
Yeah.
I know you. You know what's funny? I just kept thinking about the movie Wild Wild West with Will Smith.
Okay.
And like with the trains, because
Yes.
during like Theodore Roosevelt time when they were building the train, and there was
Yeah.
like that creepy guy that looked like the spider. I don't know. I just kept like my mind kept going back to that
Yeah.
movie, and like in trains, and then like the only other train reference I have is Harry Potter.
Oh yeah,
You
that's
know,
true.
so I'm like trying to imagine how all this
Yep.
works out, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, actually, like the more we talk about it, I'm like, maybe I didn't like it that much because and even that it was like snowing really bad outside too. It's like, oh, of course it
Yes.
is. 'Cause it's like
Yes.
a dark and stormy night, and
You know,
Yeah.
so throughout the book, I was trying to find some parts where we get to certain character views or, you know, whatever it was. One thing I did find interesting was her relationship with Dante,
yeah,
you know, the love interest. And, of course, she had Seamus. There we go.
Seamus.
I was reading the phonic version.
Yeah.
Seamus, and her relationship with him. I don't know. I always got excited whenever she was talking to Dante because I thought that was kind of cute how you saw that love there. Very strange, though, how you end up finding out about the relationship, how their parents
Yeah.
dated. You know, I would be.
Not,
You know,
they're not siblings, but
yes,
it's
like
they share
it's almost
a
sibling by
and
religion.
It's like
They share a half brother.
yeah. So it's like, are they half?
In a way,
A quarter.
In a way, they'd be
It's a
like
little
if,
odd.
if their parents got married, they'd be step. I just thought that was
Yeah.
very strange.
But you're right. Yeah, I liked their dynamic a lot
Yeah.
better than her and Seamus.
Yes.
I wasn't rooting for that romantically. I was fine with their friendship, but yeah, I liked her and Dante's chemistry.
yeah.
And I like that you were always guessing whether or not Dante's intentions were to, you know, mess with her plan or actually
True.
support her. And
I think
you
I
know,
even said to you at one point while we were reading, I'm like, maybe he's the killer. Like
Yes.
something with the crooked smile. I
Right.
thought like maybe they were doing something there.
yeah,
So yeah, that character kept me on my toes for sure.
yeah. Who did you guys find interesting? There were a lot of just random side
like Sal.
stories.
Sal,
I
was
liked
like,
her story a lot.
yeah, her character was doing a lot of twists and turns and
Yeah.
stuff. I was like, oh,
I kind
thought
of like
she was
her
interesting.
too because they kind of de-villainize her.
Yeah.
You know, she's essentially blackmailed into doing what she
Yeah.
had to do. You know, back in that time, her secret was a big one.
Yeah.
You know, and how she was basically coerced into getting involved with all that. So you
I did enjoy that reveal.
Yes.
I thought that
Yeah,
was
that
it
was a
because
good reveal.
I remember I was listening to it. I was pulling into Target actually doing a pickup, and then when like the bomb was dropped, I was like, "Oh snap!"
Yeah.
I didn't say "oh snap," but
Ah.
I was like,
I did say
"Oh, Sal, okay."
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
and then having that whole reveal and the like
Yeah, I
the
thought that was
blackmail and
good.
everything behind
Yeah.
that, I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed how all that evolved.
Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
told really well too. They're like,
Yes.
oh, she,
Yes,
she
it
like,
was.
I wasn't sure if this girl knew what kind of club that she
Yeah.
was in, and then I knew she knew what kind of club it was
Yeah.
in. You know, like talking about just, you know,
I was like,
those times,
oh.
you know, you couldn't be
Oh.
gay, and they kind of just, you know, I just thought that was really well. I think that was well written. That
Yeah.
scene.
Yes,
you know,
I
you
liked
could
that
picture it
too.
in your head
Agreed.
of, and you know. And I, like the empath in me was like, that's so messed up. How like you know she should
I
be able to be whoever
know.
she. No, this is not the time for that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I get why she felt like she had no other choice.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Uh,
I liked Reggie too. I liked the character of Reggie. I thought, I don't know how I felt about him being the killer or one of the killers. Like I was
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, I don't know. I don't know.
It was kind of just another random character.
See, as soon as he entered the picture, I was like, oh, he's not really here to be the policeman. And then when he was like, oh, my father was murdered, I was like, well, clearly we know, like, I thought that was a dead giveaway, like a
Yeah.
real dead giveaway, and I was like, all right, well, he's clearly.
Oh, so you
gonna
thought
be-
he was the killer?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't see.
Yeah,
see it.
I clocked that once they
So-
introduced him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, well, my dad was murdered too." Da, da, da. I was like, okay, like writing's on the wall there. I kind of saw his direction, if that makes sense.
But it was confusing too, because then Seamus killed Judd, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, there was like multiple killers.
That I was like, how is this
Yeah.
gonna hold resolve?
They-
Because obviously Judd was doing something.
They
Yeah.
tied it
Yeah,
in with
oh,
some
so I was like-
partnership, but I don't know.
That was kind of
It's-
confusing.
It was
Yeah.
confusing, like who was offing who and why and all
The-
that stuff. It was
Yeah,
like
this book, I will disclaimer, not great for the sidetrack gal, because all three of us are like doing multiple things at the
know.
time, so you
Oh.
really have to be just locked into
No,
this.
for
And-
real.
and none of
I
us
had to
are.
rewind a few
Yes.
times. I even checked to be like, how
Yep.
much into the chapter and is it worth it? And I had
Yeah.
to kind of do that. I was like, should I go back a minute or
Well,
do I really
I'm
need to start
not a
over?
mom. I'm doing laundry while listening to this audiobook, doing multiple things
Mm-hmm.
at once. You space out for even a millisecond, you miss a whole
Yeah.
thing. So I
Yeah.
can only imagine as you guys are taking care of your
Yeah,
kids
no,
doing
it
this.
took me. I liked that it wasn't a very long book though, and I
Yeah,
obviously
it
I
wasn't
read it
that bad.
on very fast speed.
Yeah.
I'm listening. I think I listened to it at like 1.35 also.
Yeah.
And yeah, even then I was like, oh shoot, I gotta rewind a little bit. Ugh.
At the end, I had to rewind when I was trying to figure out the killers. Because again, it was like, it was
Yes.
like, Reggie's the killer, but then all of a sudden, like, Seamus was the killer. I'm like, wait, but who did...
That's when all the info just started spilling
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, it was a little too much, too fast.
Yeah.
So
It's like,
now
Oprah,
that we
you're
talk
the
about it,
killer,
I
you're
think
the killer, you're
my
the killer.
rating's going down.
Yeah, it honestly wasn't one of my favorites. You know, you have one book that I get excited to listen to. This was one book that I was like, I just really hope it gets better as time goes on. And it does.
Yes.
I definitely think so. The first 40%, I'm like, ugh, when is this going to kind of kick
Yeah.
up a little bit? One character I could never get on board with, and they reference him a lot throughout it, Kenneth Wentworth,
Oh,
like
yeah.
Dante's dad. Like the evil
Oh.
one that's behind most
Yeah.
of this. They just like
I knew he
I
was gonna
picture
come up
like
at some
I
point,
picture a
too.
massive man with an evil mustache and just you know I just like I gotcha, like it's just a greedy businessman that
When they
ruins
were
the lives
talking
of so
about
many
the-
people.
Like the engineer in the front, like never opened the door. I was like, all right,
Someone's
that's clearly
there.
going to be like the big reveal at the
Yeah.
end. Like there's going to be
Something
that
called
person in
it.
particular is going to be involved in something somehow.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to be that guy, but like when I was like, oh okay, I knew there was going to be some type of aha.
Right, in that character.
Yeah.
No, agreed.
And so then when it was happening, I was like, oh okay, I saw that coming.
And they tried
Kind
to
of.
humanize him with, he was hurt and he was in love and she chose somebody else and I'm much more worthy and stuff, but still,
I was like, you still killed a bunch of people on
yes,
purpose.
and you're
Yeah.
still
like,
just
really
corporate greed
gruesomely.
is, so real in this, but
Yeah.
and I respected that part of the book where they also show like this. I'm sure this has actually happened where real people got hurt because regulate there are certain laws in place now because of those situations.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
But I just thought that when his character was whenever he was just speaking, I was you don't really add anything for me.
No. Yeah, no, I wasn't crazy about him. And I wasn't crazy about him being with her mom. Like, I don't know. All those side parts to it, I was kind of like, eh.
Maybe that was
Okay.
Riley's way of showing how everybody feels like they deserve vengeance.
Yeah.
Like he was getting revenge against Anna's father who, took his girl,
Yeah.
just, I don't know.
Hot take, Chrissy. Hot take. I never thought of that.
Everybody's out for revenge of some sort
Yeah.
or a vengeance in this
Never
case, or
thought
with
of that.
a vengeance, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's maybe giving the author a little bit too much credit. Maybe that's maybe that's the spin he wanted it. I don't know. I also respect that a lot about books. Is as much as they try to give you the certain picture, it's up to the reader to imagine it.
Yeah.
And I remember our very first episode, we talked about the pros and cons of audiobooks. The more I read in audiobooks, the more my imagination allows to let go. Like it doesn't solidify you in the way that I thought it was going to, where or I should say box you in. Like that's a better phrase. Your imagination can still take off. You can still picture the characters in the way that you want them to, unless they flat out describe every single detail of that character's look, you can make up in your head what you think they look like. That's why I think movies are so funny, because it's like, that's not what I pictured that character to look like at all,
Totally.
Or they got it spot on. That's exactly who I thought they would look like. With the Housemaid series coming up, I've been doing a lot of that.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy
I was
that they make...
literally just about to say that.
Really?
I was just about to bring that
up.
up.
A crime that they have Amanda Seyfried as Millie, or not Millie. What's her name?
Nina.
Nina. Yes.
Yeah.
Millie. I could see.
That's
Yes,
a whole
Sydney Sweeney
podcast
but-
episode on its own.
Yeah,
Like,
we actually touched on that before.
Yeah.
But it's just something that now that we've been listening to more audiobooks, I think it's just great. Shout out Libby, because I love it. I just think it's funny. In this case, this book, it really wanted you to have your imagination soar. I just couldn't connect with it the way that I could with other books.
But I will say to that end, I was doing both, because we got a copy of the book, and then I also had the audiobook, and I kind of went back and forth. And similar to what you said, Chrissy, when I was actually reading it, I felt like I followed it more. And they even had, if you guys looked at the actual book, where the new chapters were, it would say, 2 a.m., 8 hours to Chicago, and it would have a picture on there. And I feel like that helped me too, whereas when I was listening to the audio, it happened so quick.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, where are we now?
I will say
10 hours, 11
the
hours?
first book that we read, The Midnight Feast, I did that, and I connected with that book so well with having the different outlets of, being able to digest the story.
Yeah.
Going back and reading some of the chapters, and I wasn't super fluent, or I wasn't super strict on where I left off on some things. I would maybe start a chapter behind and think, oh, I read this already, or I listened to it already. But seeing it again, it's almost like watching a movie twice.
Yeah.
The second time, especially if it's a scary movie and you miss a detail. My mom always gives the example when she watched The Sixth Sense the second time. She's like, oh, it all makes sense. It's just kind of like reading and listening. So, all right. So I don't remember what I gave it on Goodreads, but I think I would probably give this a 2.5 star.
That's what I'm leaning
Yeah.
towards too.
Yeah.
It's funny, when we started, I would have
harsh,
said
but
3.
Yeah.
And then after this conversation, I think I'm 2 or 2.5.
Which is
Yeah,
funny. I think this was the 4th or 5th one of his books, and I always come away with not liking it as much as I thought. I mean, for the book club that I have with my friends, we actually usually read one of his books this time of the year, because spooky season.
Yeah.
So we've done a couple, and I'm always excited when I'm reading. I'm excited, and then when I think have time to digest, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and to circle back what you were talking about, because a lot of his books have some type of paranormal aspect to it. Whether it was intentional or not, or because one of his books, it was actually paranormal. There actually was a ghost, and another one of it's the Scooby-Doo thing where there's a reasonable explanation for it, and so when Anna kept talking about seeing the brother and all, I'm like, oh, is this the paranormal aspect of it? And it only sprinkled it just compared to some of his other books. It was a millibar.
And they did sort of answer it by that you learn that maybe Dante and Tommy looked alike, because they're half brothers. But same. I was waiting for more there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think it's a 2 for me.
It's a harsh one. Still gonna be interested in Riley Sager. If someone came and gave a recommendation, I'd still be about it.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I have an author that I'm absolutely not.
I don't think so
not a
either.
major fan of Stephen King books. I've read enough of him, and I'm like, okay, they're too dark for me.
I've never read any Stephen King.
He's a very good writer, but it's just the stories are a little bit too long.
Well,
for
every
my
time I see
liking,
the
and they're
books, they're
dark. Yes, they're long.
That big. I'm
They're
like, well,
long.
thank you. Who's got time for that?
No,
Oh, lordy, not me.
Although that would be a good one to do around Halloween too, like a classic. maybe.
Good. Well, you
We'll
actually
see.
have a theme that we have coming up. It is Banned Book Month.
Yeah, Banned Book Month, and
Right.
right now I think we're in the midst of Banned Book Week.
Yeah.
So yeah, we decided to dig into that a little bit more. If you go to like local bookstores and even some libraries too, you'll see they have their banned books on display. Sadly, this has become like a growing issue.
Yeah.
And in most of the states I've worked in, like they have some banned books, and we've covered it on the news. So yeah, we picked a book this time that's a reread for me. It's a reread for you too, right?
I read it in school, and
Yeah.
here's why. It's a very educational, process book that I think is typically covered during the Holocaust
Yes.
chapter of your education.
Yes, it is, and it's from like the early '90s, I think, but it still really holds up well and is still really powerful. So yeah, we're going to be reading Mouse as our next book. For those who haven't read it, it's like a graphic novel, so you'll want to actually get a copy of it. It's not one that you would listen to, but it's such a quick read. It looks like a comic book. Like you'll read it in a night or two.
Yeah.
And it is powerful. I remember, crying the last time I read it. So I am looking forward to reading it again, even though I'm sure it'll be a tough read. But I think it's important that we do read some banned books and keep that message alive.
I think so too, because I think that, like, especially now, like in the times that we're in, a lot of banned books are very subjective. I mean, I'll bring Kate into this with being a mom of 3 girls. I think right now a lot of educational stories that get brought up are kind of, I think it's important to be able to chat with families about why they chose to ban those books, and don't, like, I don't know. I think it's important to talk about these type of books because it's still a part of history. Some of
No,
these
absolutely.
books.
I mean, you can't erase history.
Yeah.
We got to know where we all came from and what happened. I mean, that's the beauty of modern technology and all that stuff. Like, you can't make it go away.
Yeah.
And then like everything is so well documented from hundreds, thousands of years ago, but especially anything within the past 100 years. Like, there's no excuse, basically.
Yeah.
Well, and also when you read these books and you're just like, oh my God, it's not even that long ago. Like
Yeah.
1940s. I mean,
Some of these things that
I know.
when it's like, wow, that was not even 100 years ago. Okay,
Yeah.
or like 50 years ago, or
because it's like, look how far we've come, or look how far we haven't come.
And I'd love in our next episode when we go through Mouse to kind of do other examples of why certain books, I'm sure a lot of them are popular
Oh,
too,
yeah.
of the reason why, there are particular states that will ban it. And here's why. Like, I think I'd read one
Well,
time,
this-
it was
yeah.
like promotes witchcraft. I was like, what?
Yeah,
Okay.
this one was,
I've seen stuff like that.
Yeah, this one was Tennessee. I saw like as recently as like 2022.
Yeah.
And then I was a reporter in Georgia in the last few years, and there was like always a book that they were
So I'm curious. Oh, maybe
talking about. Yeah.
we'll look up a
you don't
couple
really
at least
get that
in
in
New York.
York
Yeah.
at all.
No, I think I want to say New York is pretty open when it comes to the education of books and whatnot. I'm sure there won't be certain books in the elementary school library
Yeah.
that will have the
Yeah.
same education as high school, but I do remember a lot of wide range of books.
Yeah.
But I mean, who knows if the books that we read on the Spice Meter. A lot of Colleen Hoover in our high school libraries.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh
know.
my gosh, I
Maybe
just finished Colleen Hoover
so
yesterday,
maybe
too.
it was banned for which one?
Regretting You, because the movie's coming out.
See, I think the movie industry is onto something because it's a
Yeah.
double promotion. People are getting those,
Totally.
Colleen Hoover, Frida
Speaking of
McFadden
casting
books.
and characters that you have in your mind in the casting. and all
Okay,
that, that's-
and I want to read. I have people we meet on vacation.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was
was
so
a good
good.
one.
Before that
Yeah,
becomes a
that one
Netflix
was
series
great.
coming out
I
soon.
actually want to reread that one before the movie comes out.
Yeah.
I loved that one.
That one was
Yeah,
that was
I'm
with
excited.
the orange cover, right?
Yeah.
Orange and green.
got a
Yeah,
long
yeah,
movie
yeah.
list, and a lot of them is keeping up before it becomes a movie or TV show. So.
I know. We really need to.
Well, I think that concludes this episode. We probably
Yeah.
could go on and on about all the shows that we are excited to see that became, or came from really good books. But thank you for joining us, and we'll be back in a couple weeks.